back here at Nethy Bridge on day 2 of my Speyside walk. It's another beautiful day, beautiful September day, and I'm hoping for a little bit more variety today, maybe even see the Spey itself. As with yesterday, the first bit is a bit of road walking, so it'd be good to get away from the traffic. So let's get going. I'll do it. Well, that didn't take long, only about a couple of 100 yards on the road, which is much more promising. So looking forward to today. Well, this is a beautiful bit of walking, nice and easy on your feet, and I presume this was the old railway. First bit of variety coming up here. This section has been straight as a die. We've got a nice little stream here. That's the first roan I've come across. Don't get many of them in the forest. And believe it or not, these are the first wildflowers I've found. Most of the heather is past its date now, and there's very few wildflowers left. It's so incredibly peaceful along here. And there's tiny bits of a view. Makes a nice change from yesterday. I guess this was an old shepherd's hut or something like that. I think it's a bit too small for somebody to live in, but that probably was quite pleasant in the winter or in the summer. We're a couple of miles in and I was just wondering when to stop for a drink, and I think this will do nicely. We've actually got some directions here, but not necessarily the way we want to go. And that's the clearest sign so far that we're on the Speyside Way. I think that was a detour around the farm, and I'm fairly sure this rejoins the old railway now. Yep, couldn't get through there, so there's a nice little detour there, and now we're back on the railway. But I do like all these old bridges. Two and a quarter miles from Nethy Bridge, and being in my level of fitness it seems more than that, and 3.5 miles to go to Cromdale. Well, I can understand that, but I'm not sure what these are. Is this what the archers are actually hunting then? No, I don't know whether they're sausages or something else. Very strange. Oh my, it's the River Spey. Just a bit of it. You can just about see it through the trees, but I'm hoping we get a bit closer in a minute. And down there is probably the first good wild camping spot that I've come across so far. That'd be quite pleasant. Now when you reach my age, it's not often you come across something you've never seen before, but I can honestly say I've never seen one of these gates before. Well, you just push it aside and walk through. That's quite interesting. Well, that's our first good glimpse of the Spey. I think it's been more like a Spey Valley walk than a Speyside walk so far. Let's see if we can get a proper look at one of these gates then. They really are neat. And so it goes on, still very pleasant. I'm not sure whether we've left the railway behind now, but because it seems a bit narrow, but I suspect this still is the railway. And the River Spey is still to the left, just over the trees, but you can only just about get a glimpse of it now. Well, this is quite confusing as you come out from the smokehouse there, which looks to be now closed. It's not really marked on the map, but luckily we came past it a bit as we drove down, so I spotted this Speyside Way sign, so it's a little bit easier than it did appear when I came out of the off the track there. So we're back on track. I'm not sure whether the microphone's picking that up, but I can hear the River Spey now, and this obviously crosses it. Now that's definitely more like it. That's really what I've come to see. And I think this will be a nice spot for a midway break. Well, as luck would have it, this is exactly halfway along my planned route today, so a splendid place to stop for something to eat and a cup of coffee. Right next to the River Spey, which is the closest we've been so far on the walk, and couldn't pick a better spot for having a break. This section from Nethy Bridge onwards has been far better than yesterday's section. And you wouldn't believe what a difference it makes to be beside the river and to actually hear the river trundling along. We're just about at Old Spey Bridge now. I've just put the drone up to see if I can get some pictures of the river and the bridge itself. It's a bit windy today, so I couldn't really go very far. Kept getting strong wind warnings and it was a bit scary. So hopefully I got something there. Nice rest now, and I'll carry on to Cromdale. Let's take one last look at the bridge and the River Spey. You never know when you might see it again on this walk. Got to go back up to the road now, and this is about the steepest ascent on this part of the path we've had so far. Now the official Speyside Way goes up there, heading towards Grandtown on Spey, and then cuts through the forest. Looks like it might be pretty high up, and then comes back down to Cromdale. But up here, that says there's a riverside path to Cromdale. Now since this is supposed to be the Speyside Way, it doesn't make any sense not to walk beside the Spey. So I'm going to ignore the official route, and that's what I'm going to do, walk beside the Spey. I think that's going to make it much more pleasant. Well, it's much more pleasant to walk beside the river than it is through a forest. Now this isn't the most exciting of paths, and I'm sure there'll be a bit of more variety going up through the woods, but for the life of me I can't figure out why you would actually detour, walk through the woods on a route called the Speyside Way rather than walk alongside the River Spey. The only thing I can think of is that when the route was originally conceived, that there wasn't any access along this section of the river. It was probably all maybe private. Even so, I think I ought to publish a little alternative for this bit. Well, this has got much more interesting. Nice rocky up and down bits, and but we're still beside the river. Well, for a few seconds that was quite encouraging, but maybe not. Somebody else has obviously walked this way before. We've just had a little bit of a climb, and now we're going back towards the river again, and this is a really pleasant stretch of path along here. Reminds me of the Lake District rather than Scotland. Not that I consider giving up, but this is now extremely painful. I've got two big blisters on the underside of my right foot and one coming on my left foot, and every step is agony now. I'm not really sure why that should be, since I've walked probably 200 miles back home without a single blister. Mind you, it's been very, very hot, and my feet are absolutely soaked with sweat, so I guess that's contributed a lot to the problem. So this is a nice spot to have a rest anyway. River Spey behind me, and I'm in a forest here with the most incredible straight trees I've ever seen. Take a look at this. Well, it looks like that's the bridge at Cromdale, with the church just poking out to the right over there. So that's the end of today's section. Still plenty of time left in the day, so I'm going to have one last sit down by the river before we reach Cromdale, just over there. Well, that's where the official path comes out, and I think we've had much more pleasant path alongside the Spey. So what's left now is to cross the River Spey on this fine old bridge. And that's the end of day 2 at Cromdale Church. And it's a bit windy on this bridge. Well, I've had to come into the churchyard to do my wrap up because it's blowing a gale out there now. I must say I enjoyed that day. That's from Nethy Bridge to Cromdale. That was a very pleasant walk, especially the last 3.5 miles where I walked alongside the River Spey rather than going up through the forest to follow the official way. Compared to yesterday, that was night and day. That was so much better than yesterday's walk, and actually crossing the Spey and walking along the side of it is much more what I expected from a walk called the Speyside Way. The only downside to today is the huge blisters on my feet, which doesn't bode well for tomorrow, but we'll see what a good afternoon's rest will do, and hopefully I'll be back on the trail for day 3, which starts here at Cromdale and goes to Ballindalloch. Let's hope I can do that one.